What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some more battles in the Master Premier Cup submitted to the channel by EarthDOS, who's running a frightening double Shadow Ghost team with Chandelure and Gengar, plus Florges as that third Pokemon. Now I want to say thank you to everyone that has submitted some cool and unique picks for me to showcase in the Master Premier Cup, but if any of you are bored of the recent Master League content, which I typically don't showcase much of on this channel, then do not worry because this coming weekend is Go Battle weekend, so of course I will once again be hosting the Battle of Spice, and this time we'll have the Great League Remix Cup available, so it should allow you to go even spicier with your submissions, so I'm very much looking forward to that. But with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. What is your all-time favourite Shadow Pokemon to use in the Go Battle League? I don't care which league, just let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so heading into the first battle, leave Shadow Chandelure into Rhyperior, an awful lead matchup for us. We're actually going to swap out of this matchup, which means Rhyperior, if the opponent chooses to swap out here, will be aligned to either Chandelure or Gengar, both of which are very bad, but the opponent comes in with Swampert, which honestly isn't much better for our back line. The opponent, a massive believer that grass types do not exist in the current meta, and honestly, yeah, you're typically not going to see too many, but of course Florges could be running Petal Blizzard, so luckily for the opponent, we are not running it. The opponent gonna throw a charge move here. Hydro Cannon, not enough damage to get the KO, so they're gonna have to throw a second charge move to take us out. So at this point, we're just gonna let Florges go down. Of course, if we shield there, I think the opponent can just shield and then possibly even Mudshot farm us down. So we're going to come in with the Chandelure. Of course, definitely going to have to shield this up here as the opponent makes it to a Hydro Cannon. I don't think we will get a full Incinerate farm down before the opponent makes it to another Hydro Cannon. So going to double shield our Chandelure. But we've got so much energy here. We're going to go straight for a bait with the Flame Charge. We need to grab a shield here. The opponent is going to shield up their Rhyperior, and we just barely make it to a Shadow Ball in time. This is boosted. We are a Shadow, but it doesn't actually get the KO, but luckily for us, the opponent swaps at the exact same time into their Florges. We can come in with a Shadow Gengar, going straight for the Sludge Bomb, getting the one shot, and one Shadow Claw takes out the Rhyperior, and we're able to take that game. So going into the next battle, not great for us. The opponent is running Dragon Breath on their Gyarados though, so we're actually going to stay in, bank 2 Incinerates worth of energy, and then swap into Florges. I don't mind that play at all. Of course, we don't resist the Aqua Tail damage, but it also doesn't do much damage either, and of course these Dragon Breaths were double resisted, so the opponent also banks some energy before coming in with a Charm Primarina. So we're going straight for the Moonblast here. Moonblast is going to do big damage to the Primarina. They can get the Charm farm down, but that's absolutely okay. We're now going to wait out the switch clock here, come in with the Shadow Gengar, and I think the safe play is just to shield here. They could be running Psychic, they go for Disarming Voice, which is unfortunate, but they don't make it to a second move. So they're going to come back in with the Gyarados. We are going to shield this up here, as the opponent's going to go for the Aqua Tail, and we are going to overfarm just slightly in this matchup, going straight for the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is going to connect, it takes out the Gyarados. Opponent probably thinking we are baiting, but we don't have any bait charge moves. We're once again forcing the Shadow Ball, and the opponent once again does not respect the damage, and we're able to one-shot them to take that game. Into next game, great lead for us. The opponent's going to swap into Annihilate, and we respond with our Shadow Gengar. Now, we should be able to live a Night Slash here, although we will shield the first one. I think that is quite risky, just because, of course, if they get a boost, then the next Night Slash is going to do more damage. But either way, we go for the Shadow Ball, of course. Like I mentioned in the previous battle, we don't have any bait charge moves, so we have to full send a Shadow Ball each time around. So at this point, I think we are just going to, of course, have to let this move go through. We should live it. It's not going to be comfortable, but we do hang on, and we come out with a Shadow Ball loaded. So going to throw straight away. Of course, Magnezone is running Volt Switch, so could have gone for one extra Shadow Claw there, but it doesn't really matter. The opponent comes in with a Dragon Breath Gyarados. This should be game over, despite being at a shield disadvantage. You're going to see Aqua Tail doesn't do an awful lot of damage here, and the opponent is just going to concede the match there. So going into the next battle, we see Shadow Chandelure into Florges. So this is a great lead matchup for us. And once again, the opponent going to say swap into Annihilate. So we're actually going to bank a ton of energy, then swap into our Florges here. So interesting. Could have, of course, gone for that Shadow Ball, but instead, coming in with the Florges, we're now going to go for a Disarming Voice. And from this range, this probably does get the KO, and it does take out the Annihilate. But the opponent comes in with their own Ghost and Fire-type Pokemon in the form of Skeleturge, which is considerably bulkier than the Shadow Chandelure. But that's okay. We go for a Moonblast, we don't get a debuff, and they do get a full farm down. But at this point, I think we can just come in with our Shadow Gengar and go for a full Shadow Claw farm down. Probably going to have to double shield, but we're going to come out with a ton of loaded energy, so it really doesn't matter all that much. Definitely just shield this next move here. This could be another Shadow Ball. It is another Shadow Ball, and we're able to get the full Shadow Claw farm down, coming out with a ton of loaded energy, going straight for the Sludge Bomb here. Sludge Bomb, going to be grabbing a shield from the opponent. We're going to bank another Sludge Bomb, then come in with the Shadow Chandelure, going straight for that Shadow Ball, and once again, we should be resisting everything from the Floriges, so whatever they throw is not going to be enough damage to get the KO. It does a lot of damage, I have to be honest, but that's okay. We make it to the Shadow Ball. We actually go for the Flame Charge here, which is, it's not really a mistake because of course we do have a Sludge Bomb loaded, but of course we could have made this matchup slightly faster, going for the Shadow Ball and getting the KO, but either way we come back in with the Shadow Gengar. We can now just go for a Sludge Bomb, taking out the Floriges, and we're able to take that game. Internet's game pretty good lead matchup for us, leading into a Togekiss, and the opponent is choosing to stay in, at least initially, before swapping into their own Chandelure. And I'm not so sure about this play here because, of course, we are taking neutral damage from these Incinerates, but Incinerate is such a hard-hitting move here that, honestly, they're going to be able to fully fast move farm us down, despite us having Shadow Claw for a fast move. That is quite embarrassing from the Gengar there, I'm not going to lie. But we can come in with our Chandelure and then go for a full Incinerate farm down as well. They come in with Gyarados, we can go straight for the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball going to hit insanely hard there. We're now just going to go for the Flame Charge. I do agree with this. Flame Charge should be grabbing a shield from the opponent. It does grab the shield. We're going to come in with the Floriges. They come back in with the Togekiss, and we're able to go for a Moonblast straight away. Moonblast going to do a ton of damage in this matchup, and the opponent is just going to concede the match there. So going into the next battle, we see Magnezone in the lead once again. It's a very good lead. The opponent's going to swap into Waterfall Primarina, so this is not ideal for us. And honestly, it might be a matchup where the opponent can flip it, especially if we throw it on poor timing like we just did there. We do at least grab a shield there with the Disarming Voice before full sending a Moonblast. Moonblast's going to do a ton of damage in this matchup, but I don't think it will quite put them into farm down range. So at this point, we're actually going to no shield here. The opponent goes for Psychic. That actually doesn't quite get the KO either, giving them slightly more farm. But that's okay, I don't think they're going to make it to another charge move if we come in with the Shadow Gengar and we are able to get that farm down. So they come back in with the Magnezone and once again throwing on very poor timing. Not really sure why we are throwing straight away on alignment there, because if we went for one extra Shadow Claw, we could have just taken them out with the Shadow Ball. But instead, we come in with the Chandelure, and luckily for us, they have a second Fairy type in the bag. This time they are running Charm as it's a Togekiss. We can grab a shield with the bait, with that Flame Charge, and the opponent is just going to concede the match there. So going into the next battle, it seems like we've skipped part of this first matchup here, but the opponent goes for a Wild Charge, grabbing a shield advantage up against our Shadow Chandelure in the lead, and then they come in with Annihilate. So of course, looking like they are very weak to this Chandelure. So at this point, we're going to double shield the Chandelure, shielding up the Night Sash, this time going straight for the Shadow Ball. Honestly, at this point, it's very clear they are going to be shielding their Annihilate as they are super weak to the Chandelure in the bag, but that's absolutely okay. We're going to have to let this move go through. Night Sash will get the KO. We can come in with the Floriges, and they've got their own Floriges in the bag, so this is game over. We're just going to go straight for the Sludge Bomb here, no messing around, and Sludge Bomb will be taking out the Floriges. They come back in with the Annihilate, and they're just going to concede the match there. So starting this battle right from the start this time around, which is nice to see, we're going to lead into a Mamoswine, which is a great lead matchup for us. The opponent safe swaps into Feraligatr, and honestly, I have not seen a Feraligatr in the Master Premier Cup. I have no idea if it's actually got some decent bulk to it, or if it is very glassy like in the lower leagues, but either way, we go for Disarming Voice, grabbing a shield there. We can live the next Hydro Cannon, but they will just be able to farm us down, so we're going to shield it up, and this time I think we should be going for the Moonblast, as it will hit a lot harder. So we're going straight for the Moonblast here, and Moonblast actually doesn't really put them into farm down range. So at this point, we're just going to no shield here, as they will be able to go for the Hydro Cannon, taking out the Floriges, regaining switch advantage, but we can come in with the Shadow Gengar, go for the Shadow Claw farm down, and if they come back in with that Mamoswine, of course, we're still going to hit incredibly hard with a Shadow Ball, so we're full sending it straight away. Shadow Ball will be coming through, dealing big damage there. Unfortunately, they do make it to an Avalanche, so at this point, we're actually going to no shield. Avalanche will get the KO. We come in with our Chandelure, and they've got Golisopod in the bag, so a bit unfortunate for us, but we do have a slight energy advantage as they did have to swap out there, and they no-shield the Flame Charge, which they had to do there because, of course, the next Flame Charge does more damage, but it doesn't even matter. Shadow Chandelure hitting so hard in the Master Premier Cup that we're able to take that game. Internet's going to, the opponent's going to safe swap into Scalar Dirge, and we're actually going to bait with a Flame Charge here. A bit risky, and the opponent calls the bait. Insane call from the opponent. We're now going to swap into our Shadow Gengar. I'm not sure about this because, of course, if we just stayed in with the Chandelure, we could have just gone straight Flame Charge at that point. But now we're going to have to double shield. But we are going to correctly shield up the Shadow Ball there, go for the Shadow Claw farm down, and let's see, the opponent has the Florges coming back in, so we're going straight for the Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb is going to do huge damage here. It doesn't quite get the one shot though, and they do just barely make it to Disarming Voice. So I think if we actually just farmed up and through on the CMP tie, then we could have got that KO. But either way, the opponent comes in with Annihilate, and this should be game over. We've got 3 Pokemon that do pretty well here. They might go for a full resisted counter farm down, but at that point, they're going to be in range where we can take them out with basically anything. So we go for another Sludge Bomb. We come in with the Florges. They're going to go and fire off a Shadow Ball most likely, see that it doesn't do an awful lot of damage, and then probably just concede the match there. And that's exactly how it goes. So pretty much every single opponent has conceded the match up against this team so far. Into next game, we see a great lead leading into Chestnut. So I mentioned not a lot of grass in this meta. If that Chestnut lead went up against that Rhyperior team we saw earlier in this video, that team would not be in a good position. But either way, we're going to see a Gyarados coming in. We can just let this first move go through here, and unfortunately, they do make it to a second Aqua Tail already. So gonna no shield once again. This does get us very low. They can Dragon Breath farm us down. They're probably gonna have to shield at least once here, but that's okay with us. We are going to go for the back-to-back Disarming Voices. They're actually probably going to live this just barely, but we don't mind that too much. We can go for the shield and farm them down, but instead, gonna no shield here. And honestly, we might come back in with the Chandelure, go for the resisted Incinerate farm down. I love that play. And they come in with Goldango, so we're going straight for the Flame Charge here. Flame Charge, of course, gonna ramp up the attack, and look at that Incinerate damage. We're even able to make it to another Flame Charge in time, and this will, of course, easily take out the Goldango. We can now swap into our Shadow Gengar, and this is certainly game over. All we have to do is make it to a Sludge Bomb. It's going to hit for super effective damage, and Sludge Bomb will eventually get the KO here. As you see, a bit of lag. Actually, it doesn't do much damage there. I'm not really sure what's going on. I thought maybe the opponent had just conceded the match there, but eventually they do just concede, and we're able to take that game. But anyways, heading into the next battle, we're going to see the opponent safe swaps into Florges. They're just going to go straight for a Disarming Voice, of course. Not going to do much damage there, so that's fine. We're now going to build up to 100 energy, going for the Flame Charge. And if the opponent does shield this up, we can fire off a second Flame Charge immediately. So that's exactly what we're going to go for. Flame Charge will get the KO. They come in with a Charm Primarina. So I personally would have swapped out of this matchup just because we know Chandelure can just Incinerate farm down a Excadrill, but because they no shield there, this is going to be a little bit tricky. We do have a Pokemon advantage and a shield advantage, so we should be fine here. I think that play is just to come in with the Florges, no shield everything they throw, and then eventually when they do take us out, come in with the Shadow Gengar. So here we're going to go for a Moonblast. Of course, it is resisted damage. It does steal about 40% of their health, which really is not that bad. They're going to fire off the next charge move here. Drill Run probably will take us out from this range, and it does take us out, but that's fine. We've got 2 shields remaining. We can go for a full Shadow Claw farm down, and we're able to take that game. So going into the next battle, we see Shadow Chandelure into another Florges. So of course, we're seeing a lot of pretty good leads here. We haven't seen any losses yet, so I assume these are just going to be wins that were submitted, but there's no problem with that. We're going to go straight for a Disarming Voice. The opponent actually no shields that. They do live it fairly comfortably, which is a bit awkward because of course we're now going to throw another charge move. Otherwise, they can make it to a charge move and potentially grab a shield in this matchup. So here we go for Disarming Voice number 2, taking out Annihilate, and they come in with a Scalar Dirge. Now of course, this isn't great for us. They're going to get a huge Incinerate farm down, which is probably exactly what they want. We're going to go for the Moonblast. We don't get the attack drop once again, but that's okay. We can come in with the Shadow Gengar. Probably going to have to double shield once again, but we can commit to a full Shadow Claw farm down. So we're going to shield the first move here as the opponent does bait with a Disarming Voice, but they swap back into Florges. So we're going to come in with our Shadow Chandelure. We're going to of course let this first move go through as the opponent full sends a Moonblast, dealing big damage, and honestly that does put us into Incinerate farm down range, which is a little bit awkward, but we go for the Flame Charge, grab the shield anyways, and the opponent over farms, which is fine with us. Gonna go for another Flame Charge. I personally would have probably undercharged that slightly, and that way we could have come in with the Gengar, and then get the farm down, but either way, it doesn't really matter. I think the safe play is just to shield this up here. They bait once again, but I don't think it matters. We can go for the Shadow Claw farm down, and we're able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated. And with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.